Hey guys, and welcome into the newest episode of the 7 round mock draft series. Today we're going to be heading on over to pick 8 with the Arizona Cardinals. I haven't uploaded in the past couple of days. I was just so I can kind of get back on track with everything outside of YouTube. But I am back, and you can expect a double upload today. So be sure to take a look out later tonight for a second video as well. But the Cardinals are holding down the 8th spot. They're a lot of fun to do because they really don't have that many holes on the team anymore. A lot of players are young and developing at positions, and a lot of positions are just filled at this point, especially with the acquisition of DeAndre Hopkins. There's few holes that this team really needs to fill. It needs to add some depth, and this team is actually looking very solid going into the 2020 season. So without further ado, we will head on over to pick 8. As you can tell, Andrew Thomas out of Georgia is going to be the selection at pick 8. Now, Andrew Thomas is my favorite and my top tackle on the board for many reasons. I think that he's just been so consistent. He's played since freshman year. He's played a full 4 years, and he's been one of the best tackles in college football all 4 of those years. I think he's a Tyron Smith. I think he's going to come into the league and just be a solid starter day one and never look back. And I think that that's something that any team would love to have. Now, does he have the flashes of the prototype that Mekhi Becton does? No. That's why I already have Mekhi Becton going to the Chargers. I think that's just a pick that the Chargers will make more than anything. But personally, Andrew Thomas is my top offensive tackle on the board, and him falling to 8 for the Cardinals is going to do wonders. One of the biggest reasons I love his fit here is that they just signed DJ Humphries to another contract. I think it was a 4-year deal. Andrew Thomas can play right tackle, and that's going to be amazing to add to the offensive line. This Cardinals offensive line has been poor and hurt for so long, past the Carson Palmer years, all the way back to the John Skelton, Max Hall years, if you remember those as a Cardinal fan. But Andrew Thomas being able to shore up that right tackle spot, you can fill him in right away. You can use Marcus Gilbert inside if you want to transition him, or maybe even use Andrew Thomas inside for a year, see how he can do it. But overall, Andrew Thomas is going to hold down the right tackle spot for the near future. Just some things about him: 6'5", 315. He's got 36-inch arms, which are just behemoths of arms. Obviously, when you look at what he can do he can play either spot. He played both spots at the Georgia, which helped out a lot of why Fromm, Eason, and why am I blanking on his name right now? I'm looking right at him. DeAndre Swift. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. Why all these Georgia offensive players had so much success doing what they did, because Andrew Thomas was able to hold down that spot for a good 4 years. He's able to use those long arms to engage blockers so quickly. He can do whatever you need him to: run block, pass block, everything. He can move defenders to the inside, to the outside, wherever the play needs him to go. That is what he does. The only thing I think that he's weaker at is, when you look at his body type, he doesn't kind of show you that he's this brute of a human being at the tackle position. A lot of heavier builds are out there, but his technique is so insane. You're not really going to ask him to move too much. He's more or less going to maul the defenders. But none of those things are poor. Those are all great tackle qualities that you'd want in a guy. So Andrew Thomas being the pick at pick 8 for the Cardinals shores up the right tackle spot for beyond this year. For as long as Humphries is there, as long as Kyler is there, this team is looking very good going into the 2020 season. Now we go on over to the 3rd round, where I am selecting defensive tackle Raekwon Davis out of Alabama. Now, they don't have a 2nd-round pick because they gave it up for DeAndre Hopkins, so getting DeAndre Hopkins in the 2nd round is basically what they did, and that is an absolute steal of a play. Raekwon Davis has been absolutely productive. He played basically 3 years at Alabama. In that total, he's had 171 total tackles. 18 and a half of them were tackles for loss, and he also had 10 and a half sacks and an interception in those 3 years as a starter. Just an absolute beast. He can just absolutely change a play with his height and his weight, and just what he can do with his length as well. When you look at what Raekwon Davis can do, he's 6'6", 311. He's got 11-inch hands and basically 34-inch arms. So he is just absolutely long and big, which is what you want from your D tackles nowadays. You really want them to be able to maul the inside and be able to get their hands up if something's going across the middle. One thing I saw that was kind of cool was when I was looking at his combine stuff, that the NFL writer Lance Zierlein compared him to DeForest Buckner, which is pretty high quality to do it. But he really does have that height, weight, and length down to a T, because it's something you can't teach. You need to get somebody that's like that. He is so powerful. He's able to just run through blockers. He's quick off the snap. He bends very well, and also on top of that, he's good at tackling. A lot of defenders, they can get through, but sometimes they can't wrap up or they use their arms too much. No, he can get through very much. But some things that people say are a weakness is that he's not really the best personality type. He can be known to be a little immature, which is kind of hard to get through in a locker room. So he's going to need to actually mature up to be a professional at the NFL level. And when you look at what he can do for a team at the D tackle position, he's able to be a starting D tackle in the NFL. And with Corey Peters being there for basically just one more year, in my opinion, for the Cardinals, Raekwon can help out in that defensive front, and then next year just take the starting job and run away with it. And I think that's what the Cardinals will look to do here with the third-round pick, is to be able to get somebody that's going to start once Corey Peters is gone, or even start over Corey Peters. And I think Raekwon Davis can definitely be that at pick 72. You need somebody on the interior defensive line. You got DeAndre Campbell and Chandler Jones on the edges. Get Raekwon Davis and have a phenomenal few years with your draft picks, with your young team, because this team looks like it's going to be going to the playoffs for many years to come. Then we go on over to pick 114. I'm taking tight end Adam Trotman out of the University of Dayton. 6'5", 255. He's got long arms. He's got solid hands. He ran a 4.8 at the combine. He had a 34.5-inch vertical as well. When you look at what he did at Dayton this last season, 70 catches for 916 yards, 14 touchdowns. Just an absolute beast of a player. When you look at a guy like Adam Trotman, it's one of those small school prospects that you hope can turn out to be something. They extended Max Williams' contract. Ricky Seals-Jones is obviously not with the team. I think he signed with the Chiefs, if I believe so. He was on the Browns last year after they got rid of him. Just the tight end position has always been kind of lackluster for the Cardinals. They really haven't had a good tight end pretty much as long as I've been alive. They had some years, Fells was there. They got Gresham. He didn't pan out. They had Todd Heap. He did okay for a couple seasons. But in reality, this tight end position has always been poor in the Cardinals' offense, and there's no real reason why. Max Williams had a solid season last year, which got him a paycheck. But now you get a guy like Adam Trotman, who, coming in, I think that he's what you want as a big pass-catching tight end in this offense where Cliff Kingsbury's looking to air the ball out. When you have Kyler Murray, you have Kenyon Drake, who's good at catching. You have DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, Isabella. I mean, you have so many of these good pass catchers that you need to be able to add to that. So getting a guy like Adam Trotman's good because he is a huge target. Like I said, he's 6'6", right? Why would you want somebody 6'5", 6'6"? Yeah, he's in between there. He's noted at 6'5". He's been listed at 6'6", whatever it is. But he can adjust the ball so well in the air. You see him right there. He's making a one-handed catch. He's got the catch radius that you want from a receiver, and he has that in a tight end body. Like I said, being that tall, he's a big target you can be able to throw over to where he can jump up and make a catch. So he was targeted a lot. He was very productive at Dayton, and you hope that you can translate that to the NFL at 114. So things that he could work on, he obviously could work to block a little bit. He needs to be able to kind of get through some mismatches that he has. If he's got a bigger linebacker on him and they press him at the line, sometimes he won't be able to get through. You're not really going to look for him to make a big play after the catch. He's not a Darren Waller Kittle type where he's going to catch and go 80 yards after, or have a Vance McDonald run where he's stiff-arming everybody. He's going to catch the ball, maybe get a few yards, but he's not a big play guy. But he is going to be a sure-handed receiver at the tight end position. So as long as you're able to develop him and kind of add to his abilities with a rack ability and up his blocking a little bit more, I see him being a starting tight end in a few seasons. I think that Max Williams and him could actually be a very good two tandem. You go into the training camp, you see which one of them is doing the best and run away with it. But Adam Trotman, tight ends are looking to be day 2, day 3 guys in this draft. And getting a guy like him at 114, I think, is a very solid pickup for this air raid offense that Cliff Kingsbury is going to be running. Then we went over to pick 131. I'm selecting Michael Ojemudia, probably butchering the name, out of Iowa. Like I said, not too many needs for this Cardinals team, just a lot of depth positions after you get out of those. So, like I said, tight end, D tackle, and offensive line, I think, were their needs. Other than that, they need to get depth everywhere. And corners, one of those positions where they could definitely add some depth to. When you look at what Michael Ojemudia has done in college, he's been there for 4 years. He was a 3-year starter. He had 125 tackles, 1.5 tackles for a loss, 6 interceptions, and 17 pass deflections in his college career there at Iowa. Very productive. He has a lot of traits that you want One of those things that I love about corners, especially in this draft, there's a lot of them, is when a corner's over 6 foot, that's something you can't really teach. You can teach him to be a little bit faster. You can teach him to run the route tree better with the receiver. You can teach him to get his hands up better. You can't teach the height. If you have a 5'9" corner who's very good at everything, he's still gonna be able to get jumped over. When you have a guy like I'm just gonna call him Michael from now on, 6'1", 200 pounds, he's got 32-inch arms. You can't really teach that. When you look at what he did, 4.45 at the combine, he had a vertical jump of 36 inches. Some strengths that I have in his game listed is that he's physical. Like I said, long arms, tall, height. Is something that you can't teach. He's going to be able to get up above the receiver, hit the ball down. He had 6 interceptions since 2018, which is very good for him. A lot of pass deflections were also as well. And he never really was one to give away an explosive play. He was always kind of, if they made the catch, he was able to get them down, just kind of set the play down where it was. He never really gave up those big plays that are exciting to watch. He's pretty sure set at corner throughout his college career. The one thing I said you want to teach a guy is something he needs to get taught, and that's to run the routes a little bit better. A lot of times that the route running from receivers, especially at the NFL level, is going to be able to beat him. Yes, he might be able to stop them, but they might have already gotten a first down or whatever. He's got to have better instincts at tracking the ball and kind of sticking with receivers and figuring out when they're going to be able to catch it. He's not really a guy that you're going to expect to jump the route. He's more or less going to do what he needs to do. So that's another thing where if you can add to his game to where he can be able to jump the route, swat it down, know where the ball is, etc., he's going to be a solid corner that within a few years can be a solid corner 3 or corner 2. Right now I think he's a depth guy. You can use him on special teams as well. But he's got to learn that, and once he does, he's going to be a solid corner. Because in the NFL, when the routes are as good as they are, you can't have a guy being able to give up any catches. You want a guy to be able to shut down the other receivers. That's what you want your corners to do, especially at the NFL level. So a guy that really isn't going to shut down, but he'll be able to stop them from making a big play. That's useful, but you still want better. So Michael Ojemudia out of Iowa, I think that's going to be a solid depth pick. Learn from Patrick Peterson. That secondary they have there is very good. And just see what you can develop with him throughout the next few years. Now at pick 202, I have them going back to the front and getting another defensive tackle in Khalil Davis out of Nebraska. Now, like I said, they have a certain few positions I think they need to address. After that's depth. Well, they addressed one of those positions, but that also means that they could use some depth at that position as well. When you look at Khalil Davis, he was very productive in Nebraska his last 2 seasons, totaling over 40 tackles, both of them. In his career, he had 105 tackles, 24 of them were tackles for loss, and he had 8 sacks this last season for a total of 13 in his career, which is absolutely phenomenal for his last season at Nebraska. What you want from a guy like him, especially in the 6th round, you're just looking for somebody who can possibly rotate in when an injury happens and just not be completely shut out of the play. And that's what I think he can do. He had 32 reps on the bench. He ran a 4.75 at the combine as well. Those are the only things he did at the combine. But you look at what else he can do there. He has good levels when he comes off of the snap. He stays low. He's able to be quick. He's able to jump the block and be able to get to the spot before the lineman does. And he's very determined with his rushes. He kind of gets around the blockers and he's ready to go hit somebody. He's ready to get in the backfield and just completely explode the middle and force the running back or the quarterback to get out of the middle and kind of find another lane. Some weaknesses that he is short. He's not the NFL size that you really want in him. He's only 6'2", a little bit over 300 pounds. But we've seen that other D tackles that are not that huge have had a good impact in the NFL. Obviously, this is a guy that I think is going to be a depth guy, but he plays pretty not, I don't know the right word. I guess short. He doesn't really get his arms out too far. He's not really able to push somebody far. He's kind of got to use his whole core and his base to push the power through. He's not really able to use his arms for it. So he kind of just lacks being that anchor to just absolutely wreck the middle, in my opinion. But at 202, you're not looking for a guy to be the next Aaron Donald. You're looking for a guy to rotate in and out as possible, and hopefully you can find somebody that can keep a roster spot filled for you for the next few years, if not longer. I think a guy like Khalil Davis could help out a lot from the same reasons that I said Raekwon Davis would help out a lot. But obviously this guy is somebody you're not looking to start. You're just going to have him as a bench guy, and hopefully he can fill out a need for years to come. Then with the last pick of the draft for the Arizona Cardinals. At pick 222, I've been selecting an in-state kid at running back J.J. Taylor out of U of A. J.J. Taylor is kind of a weird prospect because he is only 5'5". He's 185 pounds, so he's definitely so undersized, but yet he still only ran a 4.61 at the combine. So usually when you see those Darren Sproles type, Tariq Cohen's types, they're really fast. J.J. Taylor's a little bit different than that. He's kind of short, but he's powerful, kind of like a Frank Gore type, but obviously he's not going to be close to Frank Gore. But the players at Arizona, the coaching staff, they've all said very positive things about J.J. Taylor. They said a lot. He has a lot of power in that lower half of him in his base, so he's able to use that to go against other defenders, especially with his undersize. He's able to use that power that he has to get through. He runs as a physical runner. He has kick return experience. He also has catching experience, which is something that I really think that the Cardinals could use, especially in the 7th round. Some things that you are going to say as a weakness, I've already kind of gone over them, is that for his size and weight, you're not really going to expect him to be this like powerful guy. You're really going to expect him to be able to get out there, be twitchy, make jukes, and that's really not what he is. He doesn't really have the speed. He doesn't really have the sudden cuts. He's really pretty much just a different kind of animal. He's not really somebody we've seen before. He's not really going to be this impact player, but he's definitely someone you can have as a late round guy to develop and just be a pass catching back. One reason, and it's ironic that I'm saying this, and it's going to be kind of stupid coming out, but at 5'5", he needs somebody that can throw the ball accurately to his size because he's short. And when you have a guy like Kyler Murray standing at 5'10", if that, he's able to kind of be almost towards his level. Obviously not as short, but you're not going to have, it's not like having Joe Flacco out there at 6'6", being able to throw the ball to him. So when you do that, I think that getting a guy like J.J. Taylor can be very well. Like I said, he was very productive. In 2018 was his best year. He had over 14,000 yards rushing. But overall, he's had 62 catches for 487 yards receiving in his college career. He's ran for over 3,000 yards, over 587 carries. So definitely a very productive year, a few years for him at U of A. So definitely somebody you would want in the 7th round to be a depth guy. But that is going to be it for the Arizona Cardinals mock draft. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Let me know what you have for the Cardinals as your mock draft. Leave a like on the video and subscribe. Of course, if you are part of the 97% of viewers that are not subscribed to watch these videos, please hit the subscribe button as we're doing more of these mock drafts and more videos coming up as well, all do with the NFL. And like I said, if you did like the video, please hit the like button. If you didn't, please refresh the page, try it again, and see how you like it the second time. But that is going to be it. Without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next video.